Walleye TV. Tommy Schegler, Kent Horman, ringside here in the beautiful Huntington Center in downtown Toledo. Just about set for tonight's game between the Komets and the Walleye. Our officials tonight, the referee is Andrew Wilk, and the linesmen are Sean Morgan and Ryan Daisy. And, of course, shortly after the first of the year, they did the reverse jersey format where Toledo, in the darks, their usual road uniforms, and the white and orange of the Komets, which you usually see at the Coliseum, but they flipped them here for the second part of the season. So it'll be David Gilbert to come to center ice against the Komets' Scott Fleming. Big one for the K's, and again, no problem with your set. The ice is tinted green for St. Patrick's Day weekend. Opening draw controlled by the Walleye. The Castro right along the boards, tries to feed a cross-ice pass, but it was tipped away by Marino, and the Komets immediately with a solid forecheck. That clearing effort too strong. Lacasse gathers for the K's. Marino, that gets into the feet of Gilbert, intended for Clarke. Breaking back the other way, but scrubbed along the boards by Lacasse. Center ice, a bit of a toe drag, and a nifty pass by Clarke to Marino, now to Fleming. Fleming top of the circle, one-timer, and it's right on. Kicked aside that time by Toivonen. Denis Pepin bidding for an early score. Now here come the Walleye, breaking out with numbers, comes across to Rogers, the captain. He tries to center, but it's steered away that time on a good defensive effort by Lacasse, who clears the neutral ice. Now Gleason keeps it in, takes the hit by Fleming. That time a long pass ends up being chipped into the zone, and it's gloved that time by the goaltender Toivonen, left behind. And the Walleye will regather. Now looking to break it out, but again, the Komets with a great forecheck. Embach in the corner. A lot of patience, but feeds it back. He thought there would be somebody home at the point, and nobody was because Coyle was breaking in, so Nathan Martini, behind his own net, circles out, banks it off the boards, but collected that time by the defenseman Gleason. Fed back to Joe Gleason. He comes to center, and breaking in this time with speed, splitting the defense, a little backhanded effort that time. Tremendous play by J.P. Berkmeyer, and Makarov tested early with a fabulous save.
Yeah, nice save there by the young Russian, as that was the first real good opportunity by the Walleye.
And there's a shot right on, as bursting in was Ken Peroff, the defenseman, and Makarov drops down, takes it in the chest. Whistle and a face-off. Good pace here, Tommy, in the early action.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, and that's something that the Komets have been pretty good at early on in several games, but I like the way that they've come out here today, definitely have the legs moving and putting some pressure on the Walleye quickly.
Now Kenton Miller trying to win the face-off, but that time a shot is blocked, and it goes all the way back into the Toledo zone, where that time the defenseman Peroff has to hustle back. Miller pinches in along the boards. There's a scrum, trying to dig it out that time is Jesse Messier, but the Komets keep it in. A couple of the recent acquisitions, Brunito and the recently acquired Mitch Brewston, were doing a good job of pinching in. Now here come the Walleye back the other way, and that'll be an offside. Well, we didn't get a chance to get into this very deeply, Tommy, but the roster again turned over as the Komets made some acquisitions before the trade deadline, as they picked up Mitch Brewston from Stockton for future considerations. They signed another defenseman, Matt Brunito, out of Lake Superior State University, and then the big deal was picking up forward Aaron Clarke as finally part of the future considerations, or the trade from Orlando for Mickey Lang. Now breaking in was Clarke, and he was astride offside, and it has been the great circle route for Aaron Clarke, who started the season with Kalamazoo. They were going to deal him to San Francisco, and he says, no thank you, I'd like to stay in the Midwest, so he comes to Toledo, and then with Toledo turning its roster over, and to really kind of help accommodate the Komets, they sent his rights to Orlando, where he was sent to Fort Wayne, and that was a player that general manager David Franke really coveted, and Clarke is just one of those energy guys. He's got some experience. He's 31 years old. Probably be good in the room as well.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the idea. He made his presence felt right away in those first two home games on Friday and Saturday night. He's a guy that, will get into those tough areas, something that the K's has struggled with a bit, as we have our first penalty of the evening with Fleming going into the box. So Toledo is going to be on the power play. But yeah, getting back to Clarke, I mean, he was impressive in those first couple of home games, and as you mentioned, he's somebody that the Komets have been after for a while.
Well, Fleming goes in at the 2:52 mark for hooking, and now the Komets will have to kill off a Toledo power play. It's back in the deep zone, and Denis Pepin just takes a look, and he airmails it the length of the rink.
The penalty kill for the K's been one of the things all year long that has been consistent. It's been one of the best units in the league all year long, 86% just over.
And that is second in the ECHL. Now Gleason was looking to tee it up from the point. Szydlowski, as they feed to Gilbert, right at the side of the net, slides it through the crease, and then fanning on it that time. So Toledo looking to try to get a pretty good scoring opportunity, but that time Max Nicastro, who'd sneaked in from his defensive spot, whiffed on the play. Marino, who always is aggressive at both ends of the ice, applying a good forecheck to take some time off the clock. Well, if there's been any modest bright spot for the Walleye, their power play at 18.7% is fourth in the 21-team league. There's a big drive taken off the shoulder that time as Gleason blistered one in, but Makarov equal to the task. Now again, the Walleye trying to set up shop. Just working the puck, stick handling behind the net that time is Perlini. They look to feed back to the point to Gleason, top of the circle, right on! It changed direction, and it came off the body of Makarov, caromed off a coil, and Andre Makarov belly flops on top of the puck to get the whistle and the face-off. Dangerous situation there, but the puck stayed out.
Yeah, a lot of traffic there in front, and man, Martini, I think they may have gone off of him originally, and then it goes off a coil, so a couple of deflections off of the defenseman for the K's, but luckily it came out to a spot where Makarov could quickly get on top of it before anybody from the Walleye could get any wood on it.
You know, it's Aaron Clarke out on the draw that time as he battles with Matt Abercrombie, and K's do a good job of getting it deep back in their zone. Now pinching along the high wall as Schrock took his man out of the play. Able to send it the length of the rink that time was Joe Hartman. Hartman and Lacasse are the Komet defensive pairing. Clarke out with the captain, Kaylee Schrock. Abercrombie trying to come up along the boards. Feeds it across to Brett Perlini. His shot is blocked away, and now it goes back deep into the Toledo zone. Toivonen will leave behind the net, and he feeds the pass ahead. But the Komets do a good job of choking off the Toledo power play. The team's back to full strength. There was a good shot in there for the Walleye, but Makarov was equal to the task. Now again, the Walleye working deep in the zone. Good job by Szydlowski as he works in front of the net, puts a shot on, and sticked aside that time by Makarov. Crafty move that time by Szydlowski. Now Fleming pursuing the defenseman, Richard Niedermal. Puck comes into the Komet zone. Here comes Szydlowski. Tries to poke the puck past the defender, Hartman. The steady Joe Hartman up ahead to Fleming with speed. Here comes Embach. Embach going 1-on-2. A little backhander blocked aside that time by Toivonen. End-to-end action here in the early going in Toledo. We've played just over 5.5 minutes. Now Embach coming in. Snaps the shot right on. Again, a good blocker save that time by Toivonen. Embach having a great shift, hustling into the zone. Here's Sean Szydlowski. Top of the circle. One-timer by Lacasse, just wide. And Szydlowski collects the rebound off the boards. His pass is behind the captain, Rogers. Now comes ahead, but that's into the skates of Nutkevitch. Rogers tries cross ice, but that goes off of Embach. Now Embach penetrates the zone. He's rubbed off the play that time by Kyle Rogers. Looking to keep it in that time is Nutkevitch. Gets it to Christian Ouellet, who's back in the lineup today. And Denis Pepin shot right on, blocked aside that time by Toivonen. Simone Denis Pepin has been lethal from the point lately, putting pucks right on the net. Now bursting along the boards for Toledo, racing in on the play. As the Walleye trying to figure out some way to establish a breakout, but the K's have done a good job of thwarting that. Now here comes Perlini. His shot high. It caromed again off the glove of Makarov. He'll just scoop it up, and he will take the face-off. So a couple of decent scoring opportunities for the Walleye, and Makarov has been equal to the task. We have a timeout here at the Huntington Center. 13:19 to go in the opening period. We're scoreless. You're watching My Komets on my TV. Off the draw, it was drawn right back, and Toledo with a great opportunity, and again Makarov steered it aside. Close call again for the K's. Now here come the Walleye looking to break out. Cross-ice backhand pass intercepted by Coyle. Fine rushing defenseman Coyle just tries to chip it in front. Collected that time by Nutkevitch. He tries the backhand pass out, but broken up by the Walleye. Now Toledo looks to break out. Hustling in is John May. His shot gloved by Andrei Makarov. And Makarov having a little conversation with his defenseman. Tell you what, there has been a little bit of, I guess you could say, billiards going on in front of that Komet net, Tommy. There have been some shots that have been right on, and then they've changed a little direction on Makarov, and he's been using about every piece of his body, shoulders, chest, glove, blocker.
Well, they've already given up 10 shots on goal, and this coming off those 2 games against Florida where they gave up 40 on Friday night, near 40 the other night, Saturday night. So Komets have been giving up a lot of shots this weekend, and luckily it hasn't burned them except for last night.
And there's a score by the Komets as they broke it in, and Marino was just trying to chip the puck in front, getting a stick on it, and just dumping it home that time. I believe it was Fleming. So welcome back, Scott Fleming. And it's the time-honored axiom. Throw the puck on goal. And look at that. It carried off a couple of sticks. Let's see if it was touched by Fleming. Marino flips it on.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely touched by Fleming, no doubt about it.
You had both Fleming and Needham all jousting for it. And the Komets are on the board, leading 1-0 at the 7:28 mark.
Wow, that was a weird goal. But hey, as you mentioned, throw it on the net. You never know what's going to happen. That pass looked like it kind of went off a Toledo defenseman's stick right off of the pass and kind of got a little bit more air underneath it than I think was originally intended from Marino, and then Fleming was able to just bat it beautifully right out of the air.
Well, they may want to take a look at the replay because they're announcing the goal and they're giving it to Marino. And the assists are going to Lacasse and Simone Denise Heppen, that at the 7:28 mark. So for Brandon Marino, that would be his 24th of the season. So I think maybe they're presently saying it may have caromed off a Needham stick, but I think you and I both thought that Fleming got a piece of that with his shillelagh.
Sure looked like it with both of the replays that they showed here in the arena.
But the bottom line is the biscuit was in the basket, and the Komets have a 1-0 lead. And that is very important to the K's because they have a much more proficient success rate when they score the first goal. Now, Kenton Miller breaking in. Now the Komets try to work it behind the net. Centering pass just gets past Kenton Miller a little too strong. As that time, Brewston is out there with Christian Willette. Good to have him back in the lineup as well. So there have been some comings and goings on this Komet roster, which has kind of been the epidemic throughout the ECHL. And again, a lot of people know by now that the acquisition of Aaron Clarke, and then you also pick up Brewston, and there's a score. Komets again, a lot of things going on in front of the net, and this time Toledo able to slip it past Andrei Makarov, as basically it was a Toledo team picture right in front of the goal, and the Walleye have tied the game.
Well, as you mentioned, Kent, just all kinds of bodies coming in front of the net. Andrei Makarov can only do so much. He was able to make the save on the initial wave, but then the rebound, I believe, goes through the 5-hole, and just too much traffic in front in several different occasions so far in front of Makarov. That time, it really comes back to bite the case.
Well, it looked like it was Riley Grantham who ended up getting the puck in. It is Grantham, and that is his first goal, and this is his 14th game with the Walleye. Comes at 8:45. So Perlini and Albrecht get the assist, and we are tied at a goal apiece. And again, the Walleye have the shot advantage so far, 12-5. 10:44 to go in this opening period from the Huntington Center. And both teams having some opportunistic chances that found the back of the net. Now there's a long pass that's just gloved away by Lacasse. Szydlowski tries to slip past Fleming, and he does for a time being. Now Szydlowski circles into the corner, stepped into by Denis Pepin, and the Komets dig it out. Circling in his own zone is Clarke, and Clarke loses an edge. Now, one of the things that I think oftentimes happens, and now that'll be an icing called on the K's, as Clarke will take a look at his blade and see what happened there. I think for the time I've been here, Tommy, coming to visit this building the last couple of years or so, I think this is some of the best ice in the ECHL. But I also think sometimes when you trick it up, in this case with the green tint for St. Patrick's Day weekend, I think you can soften things up a little bit.
Well, and you can see here in the arena, it's probably hard to see it on TV, but very quickly into this period do we get that film of dusting snow, what it appears to be snow on top of this ice. So it does seem to be a little soft out there. Don't know. You might be right. It may have to do with the coloring, and then the errant pass to Marino. I think that we were talking about all the shots that have been given up this weekend by the K's. That miscue between Marino and Clarke there, just another bit of evidence of a lot of different guys coming in, and we got a lot of different guys trying to learn what to do with one another, defensive pairs that are unfamiliar with each other, and there is that period of time where you have the adjustment, and K's are going through that a little bit this weekend.
Oh, centering pass that time as the Komets tried to find somebody home, as Brewston was trying to find somebody in the slot, but there were an awful lot of dark jerseys in the way, and now that is just flipped deep into the Toledo zone. Collected that time by the defenseman Niedermal, and it caroms off a player and winds up in the stands, so a souvenir for a lucky fan right below us. We have a timeout here in period number 1, 9:10 to go in the opening stanza. We are tied at 1. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
Fort Wayne's only home for sports radio. The Fan 106.7 FM at 1380 AM. All sports all the time. Weekdays on 1380 AM. Mike and Mike in the morning. The Herd with Colin. Sports Medicine.
The action here in the Huntington Center. The Komets and Toledo tied at 1. Racing into the zone is Nutkevitch, but again, his centering attempt is intercepted by Toledo. Szydlowski, though, picks up the puck, tries to feed it back to the point. Coyle cannot collect the crazy carom off the lower boards. Now it's flipped in that time by Grantham. Now they battle along the boards. Jousting is J.P. Berkemeyer, and right now Toledo trying to come out with the puck. Embach hustling back, though. Loose puck in front, racing in that time was Perlini. A loose puck and another rebound that time. That is off the mark by Berkemeyer. As a great job by Makarov to pin himself up against the pipe to make sure it couldn't slip in short side. Now the Komets breaking out. They have numbers. A little too strong for Embach. And racing to play the puck up ahead. And here come the Walleye the other way. Berkemper coming back in, and, well, everybody goes for a line change. Circling is Lacasse. Slides by his first man. Ahead to Fleming. Fleming busting in off the wing. Looks to center. Marino comes across to Clarke. That heads into the corner. Now the Walleye looking to break out. That comes into the high slot area. Now Gilbert clears ahead. And Szydlowski to the captain, Rogers. Rogers on the off wing. Backhander right in front, and that time the Komets poked it away. Good defensive forward play that time by Marino, who starts to break out with speed. Now here comes Marino slicing through the defense. Marino is pushed to the ice that time by Nicastro, but a great rush by Marino. Now Marino and Kyle Rogers battle for the puck. Here is Gilbert. Gilbert comes cross ice. That's a little too strong, and that'll be an icing call. So you have the two number 1 lines out there doing battle. It has been a very, very fast-paced first period. 7:23 to go here in the opening stanza. 1-1 tie, and right now the Walleye have had the better of the shots, 13-6.
Now we're talking Lacasse and Pepin picking up the assists on the first Komet goal. We want to remind everybody, a proud representative of West Bend Mutual Insurance Company and proud Komet sponsor. Let Matt Gregory at Gregory Associates assist you with your insurance needs, whether it be home, auto, life, or business insurance. Is 1933 a family business taking care of families and business.
Kenton Miller crosses the blue line, snaps the shot right on, and a great quick glove that time by Hannu Toivonen, and that was ticketed for the upper corner, but a quick glove that time by the Walleye goaltender. So now we again have some of the newcomers out there as we see Matt Brunito, who just came out of Lake Superior State University on defense, along with Joe Hartman. And recently acquired Mitch Brewston is on the wing with Kenton Miller and Christian Willett. Good to see Willett back in the lineup. Now chased out of the face-off slot that time is Matt Abercrombie. Draw comes back to the point. Brunito takes a look. When I tried to feather a pass in, it bounced off of Abercrombie, wound up in the seats. Well, the Komets went from having a pair of Willettes to no Willettes as Christian Willett got hurt and Dean Willett got hurt a couple of days ago. And the Komets are without their leading goal scorer for the second game as Chris Auger. He and his 26 goals are in street clothes as he suffered an injury over the weekend.
Yeah, he got a little dinged up on Friday night, got popped in the head, and so, you know, anytime you have those types of injuries, you want to take your time with it. Hopefully we'll see him back next week. But it's a busy week coming up with 4 games. First one on Wednesday night at Coliseum.
Yeah, they'll have 4 games in 5 nights, and things will really be piling up down the stretch run. Komets will have 8 of their final 12 at home after today. There's a shot right on by Brunito, and it's into the body that time of the goaltender Toivonen. So we have a timeout here at the Huntington Center. 6:41 to go in the opening period. The Komets and Walleye tied at 1. This
presented by Parkview Sports Medicine.
face off in the Toledo zone, controlled by Fleming, and then it was feathered back by Marino to Lacasse, who dumps it in the corner. Good pass back to Marino. And another shot that goes right on. Here's a rebound. That's off the glove of Toivonen as Fleming was bidding for a goal. Now Clarke steps into his man, and the puck goes into the corner. Komets again, great forechecking pressure here, courtesy of Fleming, Clarke, and Marino. That's high off the glass. Glove by Lacasse. Gets back to Simone Denis Pepin right on the stick of Clarke. Clarke comes across to Marino. Marino takes a look, skates into the center area. That manages to split Clarke and Fleming as Clarke is bumped to the ice. Toledo looks to break out. Now Kyle Rogers comes across. Little toe drag that time, and a shot goes off at Denis Pepin and winds up in the crowd as a crafty little move that time by Maxim Shalunov. Shots are now 13-9 in favor of the Walleye. Tommy was talking about the busy week ahead for the Komets after today's game. Wednesday, Orlando comes to the Coliseum. That'll be the return of Mickey Lang for the first time since the trade around Christmas. Friday, Gwinnett comes to town. Then Saturday, a big game against Kalamazoo. And then the wrap up the weekend Sunday in Kalamazoo.
Very important games, all of them. We get the week started with another edition of Sound Off with the Komets down at Champion Sports Bar. We will be back down there tomorrow night, 7:30. Chris Auger is supposed to be our guest with the injury that may change, but as of now, Chris will be our guest tomorrow night on Sound Off down at Champion Sports Bar.
But J.P. Burkemper just kept the puck and kept skating it around behind the net. They cycled it around the point, and no chance there for the Walleye, so the K's break out. Szydlowski just flips it in a little bit. Coyle was racing in from his position on the point. See if he could get himself into the play. Embach, who always seems to be around the puck. Komet center. That time it stick to side, but Szydlowski has it. Turns, and again the quick glove, that time by Toivonen.
That was a nice save by Toivonen. Through traffic, Szydlowski kind of just whipping it around. Not much time for Toivonen to react to that one, not to mention the whip around, but then also the traffic in front of him. That was a quick glove.
Well, Toivonen, 29 years old, out of Finland. Spent last year with Orlando. And he is one of those big goaltenders. Now Kenton Miller on the draw that time against Matt Abercrombie. They get them squared away. Good draw by Miller back to Brunito. Brunito dumps it into the corner. Weird carry him off the boards as that time the Komets again continue to try to center. So putting the big glove on it is Toivonen. I'm pretty impressed here in the early going, Tommy, with Mitch Brewston. Again, the K's acquired him from Stockton for future considerations. If anything, he's something that maybe they've been lacking a little bit this season. A big body that they can put in front of the net. He goes 6'4", 195.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, he had 20 1 point in 26 games with the Thunder out in Stockton, so he's proven that he can play at this level, even though it's a small sample size. You're right, he's got a great frame, and he's something that we just don't have on this roster right now.
Well, he fires it back to the point, throwing it just through a maze of players. That time was Hartman. Bruneto pinches in as we're down to just under 5 minutes to go in the first period. Boy, pushed down from behind that time, as looking for the license of that truck was Miller. Abercrombie gave him a little bit of a cross-check. No call that time. And by and large here in the first period, our referee, Andrew Wilk, has let them play hockey, and that's what they've done. Now looking to break out as Miller comes across to Brewston. Brewston has it poked off of his stick by the defender, Nicastro. Goes along the boards into the Komets zone. Toledo is going for a change, so Lacasse has all sorts of open ice as he races out with the puck with speed. Lacasse weaves into the zone. Tries to dip underneath his defender that time, Niedermal. Now into the corner, Clarke. Bumped off the play that time by Peroff. Now Fleming comes back to Lacasse. Lacasse to Denis Pepin. Pepin fires. Sticked aside that time by Toivonen. The puck squirts up in the air. Clarke dishes to Marino. Back to Lacasse. Lacasse with a shot. Again with the big glove is Toivonen. So the Komets are really ramping up their attack, and now Toledo has only outshot them. Well, in fact, they just fired 2 shots on goal. So we just took a look at the shot clock, and it just added on a couple, so the K's now have a 14-13 shot advantage. At one point, they were being outshot heavily.
Yeah, they're the last couple shifts, getting it down low, kind of grinding down there, even behind the goal line, and getting it down in deep and doing those things. They've done well on the road. I mean, there are many instances where they've done well on the road with that type of style.
Clarke with a shot wide, but Fleming covered Denis Pepin at the point when he raced in. Now he comes to Simone Denis Pepin, and his shot is right on, sticked aside by Toivonen. That almost had his body going the wrong way. Simone Denis Pepin has really ramped up the offensive part of his game. And that pass goes a little too long, and coming out to play it is Makarov, who feeds the pass ahead to Marino. Marino fakes dumping it in, tries to serve the little pass into Fleming. Marino does a great job of pinching. His intended pass that time for Clarke, though, is intercepted by Perlini. And here come the Walleye racing in. One-handed attempt that time. J.P. Burkemper and Makarov just dropped to the knees and was able to smother the puck. Now, J.P. Burkemper has had some energy. He's played 32 games with the Walleye, has 5 goals and 4 assists. So it'll be Perlini. And as they battle for the face-off, Szydlowski, pretty much a draw as the puck winds up behind the Komets zone, but intercepted that time. And here's Burkemper again. Burkemper on the half wall. Takes a look, feeds it into the corner. Now skating out that time is Riley Grantham. And it's fed ahead, and here comes the captain, Kaylee Schrock, with speed numbers. Shot right on, and another big save by Toivonen, the rebound. And some extracurriculars after her as Schrock gets into it with Tyler Elbrecht. And now a bit of a community sing behind the net. Now, the last guy you want to kind of put a headlock on and face wash is Kaylee Schrock.
That's a good point. I'm not really sure where that came from either, because it wasn't even like Schrock. He took a huge run at Toivonen. He took another swipe at it, but the puck was loose in front. I didn't see any extra shots put in on Toivonen after he had covered up. Not real sure where the extra shots came from.
Well, and I think the Komets are going to get a power play on this because there is a Walleye in the penalty box. But I don't believe it has to do with the extracurricular, because that looks like it's Riley Grantham in there. So the penalty comes at the 17-13 mark.
That'll bring up a Rock Bottom Inc. power play for the K's. Rock Bottom is the answer for consumers who consider the environmental and economic benefits of working with a local remanufactured ink cartridge retailer. They learn more, just check out rockbottominc.com or give them a call at 260-748-0636.
So Grantham goes in 2 minutes for roughing at 17-13, so he must have been part of that little scrum behind the net. Maybe he took a shot, and that time the referee, Wilkes, saw it, so because the main scrum was between Albrecht and Schrock. So the K's go on the power play. Denis Pepin Feeds to Marino. Marino circles up near the top. Fans on the play, but wisely keeps hold of the puck. Denis Pepin comes to Aaron Clarke. Now Clarke into the corner, comes back up to Clarke. Near the top of the circle, just tries to feed a little shot so the K's could tip it, but that time Szydlowski couldn't do it. Right in front, backhanded shot, speared that time. Fleming again trying to go top shelf, and what a glove by Toivonen.
Wow, that was a beautiful save by Toivonen, as you're going to see on a replay, but man, absolutely right out of the air. And the K's need to get something like this going and not have it turn into a negative, because the power play has just struggled so badly. I know it's something that they've been working on a lot in practice right now. They need to get a power play goal so badly to get things rolling in the right direction.
Nutkevitch, Brewston, and Willett the line for the K's. Gilbert trying to get his skate squared away, but the draw comes back to the point. Over to Coyle. Coyle takes a look. He weaves, leaves for Christian Willett. Willett on the half wall. Now near the top of the circle, right at the side of the net. Now Nutkevitch dances around the boards, back to Willett. And Willett has his pocket picked, and it's intercepted. Niedermal back the other way. Niedermal trying to slide past Coyle, and the pass a little bit too strong for Jesse Messier. Walleye bidding for a shorthanded goal. Racing back the other way is Embach. Embach has his pass intercepted, but now here's Embach, and that drive, a little late in developing, was chipped away by Gilbert, wound up high in the netting. So 57 seconds left in the Komet power play. 1:43 left here in period number one. We are tied at 1, but the last, I'd say, 8 to 10 minutes, Tommy, the Komets have really started to take over as far as putting on the pressure. They now have outshot the Walleye 18-14.
Yeah, they really, the second half of this period has been exactly the way that Gary Graham would want them to play, especially on the road. They're keeping it simple. They're getting it down in deep, working hard, trying to get some traffic in front of the net. And after, really kind of being loose on the defensive end for those first couple minutes, they've kind of completely changed that on the other end. There's been very little organized breakouts by Toledo that hasn't been muddled up in center. They're not giving them clean looks, entries into the zone. And they're doing a lot better job on the defensive end, and now starting to create some real quality chances down on the offensive end.
Well, after dumping it deep, it came off the boards, and Toivonen just thought, I'll live to fight another day, and he just put the blocker glove over the puck. So here is Fleming on the draw, trying to win it back. As he's battling with Abercrombie, comes right back to the point. Clarke, who's manning the point on this part of the power play. Denis Pepin now leaves for Marino. Marino circles. Fakes the shot, comes down the slot. Denis Pepin right on, goes off the chest that time of Toivonen, and they rough Fleming up after the play. As again, Elbricht, boy, after the whistle goes, he's got a few extracurriculars going on, but the teams maintain their poise, and there will be another face-off. Looks like some personnel will be changed. Abercrombie goes off for the Walleye. Now Szydlowski is coming off, so you have the traditional defenseman back there, and Denis Pepin and Lacasse. With right now the K's number one line of Fleming, Clarke, and Marino. Clarke having a few words for Lacasse, probably saying, if I get the puck, we may do this.
Well, you like to see Clarke's one of those guys that is willing to get in front of the net. And, one of the problems with the power play has been lack of traffic in front. They got to get more bodies in front of the net.
Lacasse comes to Denis Pepin. Denis Pepin, Lacasse with a one-timer. That just whistles wide. Rebound, that shot wide by Marino. Comes back at the high wall. Denis Pepin again setting up. One-timer by Lacasse. That's off the pad that time of Toivonen. Karam's behind the net and then cleared the length of the rink. And Grantham returns to the ice. So a pretty good power play effort by the Komets, but not able to light the lamp. We are down to the final 35 seconds. Marino is breaking out, comes to Clarke. Clarke weaves, gives to Miller, who just stepped on the ice. Miller with a shot right on, blocked aside by Toivonen. And here comes Gilbert leading the break the other way. Gilbert coming in off the off wing, little backhand attempt. Steered aside that time by Makarov. Racing in on the play was Shalunov looking for a rebound. Now they race into the corner. Big hit that time applied by Hartman. As Hartman stepped into Grantham. Poaching in on the play that time with the quick shot. was Max Nicastro, but Makarov was there with his big mitt. Well, just over 7 seconds to go, so you know a Walleye strategy will be try to win a draw, see if they can pull it back to either somebody in the slot or the point. And that's exactly the dialogue right now Perlini is having with Nicastro. So you have Perlini, Grantham, Burkemper out there. An important draw for the Komets. And they're talking about who's going to take it. It's like Szydlowski. It goes back to the point, but nobody home, and that should do it. Down to 3-2, and then the final one, as Chartrain will just play it and leave the puck. So we have completed the opening 20 minutes of play. A lot of back and forth, a lot of shots. At the end of the first 20, we are tied 1-1. We will take a break, and we'll recap the first period. And wait a second, because it looks like after the whistle, we have a little situation going on. As that time, you have Grantham.
And Martini getting into it.
Yep. Well, in all likelihood, there will be some penalty time handed out. Grantham and Martini as the period was ending. So we'll see indeed if the referee, Andrew Wolk, hands out any penalty time. But again, it's 1-1 after the first period. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
Two guys just went into, another guy just went into the Toledo box. May, perhaps.
It is May.
Yep. So
the K's go on the power play.
A Rock Bottom Inc. power play to start the second period. Rock Bottom, the answer for consumers who consider the environmental and economic benefits of working with a local remanufactured ink cartridge retailer. To learn more, check out rockbottominc.com or give them a call, 748-0636.
Okay, what happened was Grantham got 4 for roughing. So he got the double minor, so May is in there to serve the other 2 minutes. So the Komets do have the power play. Denis Pepin back at the point, takes a look, comes right to the top of the circle. Szydlowski comes right back. Now the one-timer top of the circle is right on and steered aside. Good shot by Szydlowski. And that time as Fleming tried to feed the pass back, it was intercepted. Now Gilbert with some speed, but offside that time. That was not a very good play at all by the Walleye because they had numbers. But Kyle Rogers, the captain, went offside. So again, it came at the 20-minute mark, just at the end of the first period. Grantham, a 4-minute double roughing penalty. Martini, the 2-minute roughing penalty. And then May is in the box to serve the first 2 minutes. So the K's on the power play, opening 30 seconds and change of period 2. We are tied at 1. Now that time, the attempted clear that time by C.J. Chartrain. He fired it off his own player. Now, Brewston circles right near the half wall, comes back to Coyle. Coyle to Embach. Embach right at the hash, now top of the circle. One-timer, that's high and right off the body that time. Trying to dig in for the rebound is Nutkevitch as Coyle went really upstairs on that one. That was taken right about at the walleye of the goaltender, Toivonen. Now the K's trying to get the man advantage with numbers during the line change. Embach loses control briefly, and it's just turned and whirled away the length of the ice by Abercrombie. Makarov will play as Messier races in for a little bit of poke-in pressure. Now the Komets will break out, and here's Coyle. To Clarke with a burst of speed. Clarke, little dipsy-doodle, now comes in, tries to shake off his defender that time, Elbrecht. And the Komets unable to keep the puck in, so Fleming will have to spin, give to Clarke, who backhands the pass cross ice to Coyle. Coyle fakes the shot, now puts it up there, blocked again away, a high shot as they figure they can go upstairs on Toivonen because he's quick to drop to his knees. Now Clarke at the point. Puts a shot right on score. What a great play as Clarke saw Marino bursting at the side of the net. There was a veteran play by Aaron Clarke as he put the shot right on just to the side of the net, and Marino chips it home for his second goal of the game. The Komets lead 2-1, and they cash on the power play.
That's one of the reasons why David Franke wanted Aaron Clarke in this lineup so badly and did so much work in the last 5-6 days to make it happen. Aaron Clarke had wanted to be a Fort Wayne Komet for a long time. he had killed the Komets for so many years. Last year with Kalamazoo in 16 games, 7 goals, 12 assists. So really, it doesn't matter if he's in a Komet jersey or playing against the Komets. He plays well when the Komets are in the area, and luckily for all Komet fans now, he's in the orange and black and is doing the job in his first 3 games. A goal in his first night. Now he picks up an assist. He's making his presence felt here early. That was a fantastic play. He saw Marino streaking on the left side there, faked the big shot, and then whipped it right to him on the left side, and Marino is going to cash from there almost every time.
Well, second of the night, 25th of the season for the ECHL scoring leader Marino. The assist to Clarke and Szydlowski, the power play goal, the rock-bottom power play goal at the 1:58 mark of period 2. And there's a shot that, again, caroms off the boards, and Gilbert controls, and that will wind up in the crowd. So, again, those assists going to Aaron Clarke and Szydlowski, and for more than 6 decades, Gregory & Associates has been Fort Wayne's insurance leader. Whether it's auto, home, or any combination you might require, Gregory & Associates is the clear choice to meet all of your protection needs. Let Matt Gregory assist you in obtaining the best rates possible. Give him a call, 432-3695. 2-1 Komets as they mark on the power play, so the double rough on Grantham hurts the Walleye.
And also, Kent, just great to see the power play getting going.
Yes.
Because, I mean, that has been a struggle, and anything that can happen positively with that unit out there only helps the confidence, hopefully helps it get it and going in the right direction over these last just over a dozen games.
Now Embach, again with speed, racing in the off wing, puts on the brakes, takes the hit, controls the puck. Oh, a great centering pass that time to Nutkevitch, and he was drilled to the ice by Lacasse as he tried to one-time the difficult play in the middle. Now Szydlowski steps into his man as Perlini looks to center, poked away, popped into the air, and here comes Marini trying to get the bouncing biscuit under control. Pass intended for Nutkevitch is intercepted by Chartrain. Now Szydlowski controls, loses the puck as he's hounded by Perlini. Now darting in that time was May. Oh, right out in front, but it slips just past the net. Makarov had to be alert on that one. Again, here comes Embach. He's always around the puck when he's on the ice. Little backhand attempt. He comes away with the puck again from May. Tries to center in front. Stepping through all sorts of traffic was Fleming. Now a little pass is gloved down by Messier, and he starts the breakout for Toledo. Looks to feather ahead to May. They are onside. Dumped into the corner where Lacasse will collect for the K's. He'll turn, weave through his own zone. Now he circles behind the net. Tries to reset. Banks it off the boards. Marino serves the pass ahead to Fleming, who comes cross-ice to Lacasse. Lacasse feeds ahead to Clarke for Marino. There's a shot right in front, blocked on. Rebound attempt by Clarke. Didn't get a lot of lumber on it. Again, he evades the defender and still controls the puck. What an acquisition Aaron Clarke has been. And when you come from the Toledo perspective, biting the hand that once fed him. Komets putting on all sorts of pressure. Now Clarke steps into Albrecht just for a little bit of fun. K's putting pressure right on as Marino poaching around looking for the hat trick. Toivonen able to glove the puck for the whistle in the faceoff.
Great pressure early on here by the K's. We were talking about getting that traffic in front. You're seeing that happen here in the first moments of the second period. Definitely exactly what the K's need to do in order to be successful, especially when they're out here on the road and get those dirty goals in front.
We'll let Miller and Brewston on the ice for the Komets, and here come the Walleye again looking to break out as Paroff ahead. Grantham can't control, and turning is Brewston ahead to Willett. Willett back in the lineup after a bit of an injury, and just offside that time is Miller. Well, one of the things I've been impressed with in this game, Tommy, I got to see a little bit of Friday's game. Did not get to take in last night's game, but you pointed this out in the first period. With these new acquisitions, you have obviously Aaron Clarke, Brewston, and then you also have Brunito, Christian Willett back in the lineup. Taking a little time for them to somewhat come together, but it looks like throughout this weekend, especially the newcomers, they've started to gel.
Yeah, I think that they've fit in very nicely, and to me, both Brewston and Aaron Clarke have added something that was missing from the current roster that we had. So it wasn't just trades to make trades. It was with a definite intent, and I believe that the Komets have done a good job in getting what they needed.
Now Willett keeps the puck in. Little toe drag, but poked away that time by Paroff. Komets applying all sorts of pressure in front of the Toledo net. Now here come the Walleye looking to break out. That pass a little too strong for Grantham. He just tries to fire it on net. Caromed off the skate that time of Kenton Miller, and it goes deep in the Toledo zone, and it will be icing called against the Komets. Well, here's going to be the interesting thing, because we talk about the new additions and acquisitions. We have to keep in mind Matt Carter out with an injury, Dean Willett out with an injury, Chris Auger out with an injury. Those are three pretty important players. When you take a look at Carter, he's got 17 goals, and you take a look at Auger, who leads the team with 26. Gary Graham's going to have some tough calls to make when these guys start to get healthy.
Not to mention the fact, you can make the argument that Dean Willett is the most talented player on the team. Obviously there are the Marinos and Augers that would have something to say about that, but he's right up there talent-wise with anybody that we have. And you're right, there was a portion of the year there where we had the first line, and that was about it. I don't feel like that's what we have going into the playoffs if we can get not only into the playoffs, but then also get healthy. I feel like we have a strong two lines, maybe even 2.5 lines when you look at different guys that can be real weapons when playing together, and that's what they were trying to do with all the different player acquisitions and trades and moves that they've made over the last 2 months or so. And I believe that they've gotten things into the right position. It's just a question of, A, can we get in, B, can we get healthy, and then can we just start getting moved in the right direction?
Well, really, first things first, and that will be, and this is the oldest axiom in sports, the Komets are one shift at a time, one period at a time, and the old one game at a time, because they have to start piling up some points, as that's whistled for an offside, in order to close out these final 13 games and get themselves first and foremost into the playoffs. We have a timeout here at the Huntington Center, 13:11 to go in period 2. Komets lead 2-1. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
Parkview Sports Medicine, and airing exclusively on My TV Fort Wayne.
Back at the Huntington Center, Tommy Schegler, Ken Horman, the Komets on the attack again, as that time Aaron Clarke just tries to fire one on goal, and it went into the body of Elbrecht as he clears it the length of the rink, and that'll be an icing charged against the Walleye. Komets have now outshot Toledo 28-20. So for the period, the Komets have a 7-3 shot advantage.
I want to remind everybody, Parkview Sports Medicine is a collaboration between Sport One Orthopedics, AWP Sports Training, Parkview Athletic Rehabilitation, and Parkview Physicians Group, also included in PSM's reach, affiliated physicians, therapists, trainers, businesses, sports facilities, teams, and families. Partnerships have been developed with the Plex, Sport One Parkview Fieldhouse, Tin Caps, Spies Fieldhouse, and the Diamond. Of course, Parkview Sports Medicine is our proud title sponsor here of Komet Hockey on My TV, and it has been a lot of fun. Ken, can you believe after today we only have one game left on our 12-game broadcast schedule here in this maiden voyage of Komet Road Hockey?
Yep, and we hope it continues for many years to come. You'll be right back here at the Huntington Center on April 4th.
Yep, that's the last one, April 4th, Friday, April 4th. Kays will be here in Toledo, 7 o'clock. I will be here.
Komets breaking in. Aaron Clarke in the slot, shot just slithers wide. Boy, Aaron Clarke has been quite a presence in this one. Now Shalunov breaking in on Simone Denis Pepin, who just rides him off the play and sends him tumbling to the ice. Denis Pepin, who's really amped up his game since he got healthy. He races in to try to be part of the offensive break-in, but that was a nifty play that time, poked away by Paroff. Komets control, and there is the tall man. You can see him anywhere on the ice, Simone Denis Pepin. Now here comes Clarke, just trying to feather the shot, and Marino whistled it wide. Fleming along the boards, right in front, sent back to the point. Little dipsy-doodle by Hartman as he tries to put a shot that could be possibly deflected on. Niedermal pokes away, and now here come the Walleye looking for numbers. Perlini deep into the corner, and the defenseman Niedermal, who jumped in the play, trading a big hit that time with Denis Pepin, but he collects the puck, and he starts the breakout for the Caves. Looks to flip it ahead that time to the newcomer, Burston. And now the Komets watch the Walleye just flip it high. That time Brunito just tried to bat it down with the glove, and it's gathered in by Burkhamper. Now Burkhamper pinched along the wall by Brunito. Christian Ouellette tries to come away with the puck, but the Walleye still control. Now deep behind the zone, cutting off his man is Joe Hartman. He just rings it along the boards, and that'll go down the length of the rink, but it just slipped past Chartrain, and there will be no icing. It was waved off. Komets change. You now have Miller out there with Ouellette, but Brewston's going to go off the ice. Ouellette looks for a centering pass, but nobody home as the K's were changing. Now here's Nutkevitch sliding in. That just goes through the crease into the corner. Now Coyle weaves back to the point. He snaps the shot right on. Kicked out that time by Toivonen. Now he'll come the Walleye back the other way as Grantham just dumps it in. So Toledo going for some fresh troops. Losing an edge that time, racing in was Abercrombie. Now Szydlowski puts the pass ahead for Embach. Embach tries to slide along the boards, evades the check, deep into the corner. Toledo looks to break out, but pinched in that time on a crafty play by Nutkevitch. Here's Embach right in front, but he loses the handle. Now Toledo again looking to break out. That time May bangs it off the skates of Szydlowski. Racing in, though, is Messier. Messier tries to tuck one in, and a good job by Makarov to hold his ground. Breakout pass, and here come the Komets. Embach puts the shot right on, and again off the glove that time of Toivonen. Boy, Mike Embach has been playing like a man possessed in this game. He seems to be around the puck all over the ice tonight.
Another guy that's really impressed me all weekend long is Nutkevitch. He has played well. He was all around the puck on Friday night, scored a goal, scored what I thought was another goal later on that ended up getting tallied to Marino, but he was nonetheless involved in that play. He's been around the puck again tonight. He's getting to the front of the net. I think he's had a good weekend, and that's obviously something that is good to see out of a guy that has had different parts of the season where he's looked great, other parts of the season where you go through those ebbs and flows of a year, and it seems like Nutkevitch is really starting to come on right now.
Gilbert trying to split the defense. The puck was just left laying there, and Shalunov snapped it right on and kicked out of there by Makarov. Again, there will be no icing, and racing back to collect the puck is Perov. Now at the high wall, that's just chipped by Rogers. Shalunov is ridden off the play in that time. As Marino, who is always a solid presence at both ends of the ice. Now Moe spins around, top of the circle, feathers the pass ahead to the breaking in Hartman from the blue line. He'll just chip it back into the corner, pushed off the play by Rogers. And now here come the Walleye. Shalunov tries to slide past Hartman, but can't. The puck is sitting there for Marino. Marino comes across. Quick return pass to Clarke. Now to Fleming. He snaps the shot right on. This just in. You may not want to try the glove of Toivonen very much because he has a tremendous catching mitt. We have a timeout here at the Huntington Center. 9:04 to go in period 2. Komets lead 2-1. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
Sports Medicine.
Back at the action here in the Huntington Center, and that puck just slides right through the crease. Makarov thought that should be icing, but if it caught some of the paint, that would negate the ice. So now Bergkemper, stepped into by Nutkevitch. He gathers the puck, and again the Komets doing a good job of clogging up the neutral zone. Now it's Albrecht chipping it high off the glass past Nutkevitch, gathered in by Coyle. Coyle comes across to Martini, ahead to Nutkevitch. His little backhand pass that time was grabbed briefly by Embach, who couldn't find Nutkevitch. Now Martini will just feather it into the zone. Albrecht knocked it down with the stick. Good coordination there. Grantham tries to chip it out. Embach has it, and the Komets will recycle as Martini fires it right up the middle. Good pass right on the stick by Nutkevitch, whose body is great in control. Embach tried to feed it back into the middle, and there was nobody there. Nutkevitch steps into his man, Brett Perlini. So the Komets, this is more or less of a checking line out there with Embach, and then when you factor in Nutkevitch and Szydlowski, but they're doing a great job. That was just chipped in off the stick of Miller. Albrecht tries to chop it away. Now Grantham leaves. Again at center ice. Hartman doing a good job of clogging up Messier. Now Albrecht looks for Messier. They joust along the boards. Hartman flips it up high. Brewston can't quite get the puck, and now here's Jesse Messier as he crosses into the Komet zone. Working on Brunito. That's a shot that goes right into the body that time, and now Brunito and Messier. Well, they're not exactly sharing dinner reservations, so the linesmen step in quickly to make sure there's nothing further. Good save by Makarov to hold his ground as he just flips the puck on the big mitt. 7:26 to go here in period 2. Komets with a 2-1 lead as Brandon Marino scored on the power play. 158 in, his second of the night and 25th of the season.
And that last save by Makarov makes you realize that outside of those first 10 minutes or so, we haven't really seen a lot of pucks coming his way. I mean, he's kind of settled in nicely. The defense has settled in nicely in front of him. The guys are playing a good game right now in front of Andrei Makarov, and he's been there when needed.
Now Marino glides in. That is again steered aside with the blocker of Toivonen. Komets have now outshot the Walleye 10-6 in this period, 31-23 for the match. Marino tries to work past Szydlowski, just tries to flip a backhander in, where it's collected by Nicastro. Chartrain feeds ahead to Szydlowski. Szydlowski, a big body, now into Kyle Rogers, the captain, who is playing with the full face shield. He is stepped into with authority by Simone Denis Pepin. And the Komets look to break it out. Here comes Marino with speed. Let's see if he can work past Nicastro. Now Marino tries to put the shot on, but it's off the body that time in Nicastro. And that time it's just served off the sideboards by Szydlowski. Gilbert flips it in, as it will be a full change for the Walleye. Komets will see if they can find a breakout with some open ice. Coyle comes ahead to Embach. Embach with speed in the off wing. Here comes Embach trying to slide past his defender, but that time Perov just put his body between the net and Embach. That time it goes off the skates of John May, and the Komets are eventually called for an offside as Nutkevitch was ready to snipe. So we have another timeout here at the Huntington Center. 6:10 to go in period 2. Komets lead 2-1. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
Way, presented by Parkview Sports Medicine.
Face-off just outside the Toledo zone, controlled by the Komets, but Hartman snaps it in, and Komets again doing a good job. That time Brewston is just bodied off the play as Niedermal handing out some punishment, but the K's continue the attack. Now Miller keeps it in deep. Christian Willett, good to see him back in the lineup. He does a great job of keeping his body between the puck and the defender as Abercrombie is working on Willett. Now the Komets, a great forecheck on this line. Brewston, Miller, and Willett. May spins out of his zone and tries to lead the breakout, and Messier just fires it deep. Makarov can't quite put the big stick, so it rings around the boards, winds up clear back all the way down into the Toledo zone, where Albrecht has to chase it down. Miller glides through the crease. Now it'll be Willett applying the forecheck. Walleye look to break out. Abercrombie slips the check that time of Embach. Comes into the Komet zone with speed. Here comes the rookie Brunito as he just steers him off the play. Back to the point. Albrecht guides it into the corner. Now Brunito races in, but Perlini beats him to the puck, so Brunito just steps into him. They try to pin it along the boards, and the Komets come away with it. Good pass that time that goes right on the stick of Szydlowski. Szydlowski trying to work his way in. Spins right on goal, and there is a big scrum in front of the net. Good power move that time by Szydlowski as he evaded the defender, and again, Toivonen had to be ready. I'll tell you what, one of the things that has happened, again, with the acquisition of Brewston and then with the return of Willett to the lineup, the Komets, I think, have a better physical presence, Tommy. They've got some bigger guys out there. They're very, very strong in their blades, and they're outstanding at controlling their body. And now I think they've got a unit out there that can actually start wearing some teams down.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then even with some of the other guys, a guy like Clarke is not a big guy, but the way that he plays,
yeah,
I would think that he would wear an opponent down after a while.
Well, he's one of those guys who plays beyond his size, leaves a perfect pass. That time Lacasse fires it high. They battle behind the net. And again, there is Clarke trying to establish the physical presence. I'll tell you, another guy who plays much bigger than his size is Brandon Marino. Did a good job of taking the Toledo player off as Szydlowski fired it right on, sticked aside into the corner by Makarov. Now Gilbert leaves for Szydlowski. He's ridden off the play by Lacasse, and here is Fleming. A little bit of a dangerous pass that's right in front. That is gathered in by Simone Denis Pepin. Snaps the pass ahead to Marino, who will backhand it deep into the corner. Chartrain will run it down. Komets are changing personnel. And here comes Chartrain leading the breakout for the Walleye. A little stick handling. Nifty play that time by Burkemper. And a shot right into the body that time by Perlini. Makarov again was right there as he took it right off the orange fireball. And now the Komets breaking out with speed. Hartman takes the pass, puts the shot right on. Blocked aside that time by Toivonen. Brewston into the corner. Here's Walleye. He dances around. Again takes the hit. Just tries to feed it along the boards. It caromed off a Chartrain. Now Perlini cycles it back. And it'll be Max Nicastro for the Walleye. Ahead to Chartrain. Stepped into that time by Brewston. There is no icing on the play. Now the Walleye going for a change. We are down to the final 3 minutes and 6 of period number 2. That'll be too strong for Miller, and that'll be icing on the Komets. 33-25, the shots favor Fort Wayne, so the Komets have outshot the Walleye so far here in period 2 to the tune of 12-8. The K's have the lone goal of the period, and that coming very early at the 1:58 mark. A power play goal by Marino, his second of the night. Marino now has 25 goals on the season, so he's one behind Auger for the team lead, and the Komets have the 2-1 advantage.
This is the type of period that you really just want to see the K's finish strong. I mean, they've played solid for the first 17 minutes of the period. Let's make sure that the last 3 is just as intense as the first 17 has been, because they've done the work needed to get the advantage in this game. The last thing they want to do is give Toledo any kind of momentum headed into the locker room for the final 20.
Yeah, that last couple of minutes, so important. They always say the first couple of minutes and the last couple are very important in a period. Now Bruneto, a neat little backhand move to get it onto the stick of Hartman, ahead to Walleye. Now Walleye steps into the zone. Again, a good job of just controlling the puck. That time chopped aside by Niedermal. It comes back to the point to Coyle. Top of the circle, he fakes the drive, takes a look, looks to center. Good diving poke check that time by Niedermal. But again, the big body of Walleye feeds it back to the point. Martini surveys the situation. There's a drive high and blocked aside that time by Toivonen. Nutkevitch on the ice, steps into his man as he knocked Messier to the ice. Here comes Coyle as the Komets come in onside. Coyle leans in as he's tried to be bodied off the play by Peroff. Now the Walleye looking to breaking out with numbers. Here comes Rogers. Rogers, little toe drag, looks to center. I don't think it's in the net as everybody went flying into the crease and the net came off its moorings. Toledo was lobbying that the puck was on its way into the net. Dangerous. Coyle sliding across, almost slid it into the net with his body.
Well, and as we take a look at the replay here in the arena, I mean, you can make the argument that Toledo might have a little bit of an argument here. I mean, the Coyle was sprawled out trying to avoid the centering feed from getting across, and he deflected it towards the goal line. And I really feel like it was only because the net came off the moorings that deflection off of his own body didn't end up crossing the line. So the K's definitely kind of dodged the bullet there.
Now, not a large complaint from the Walleye. Here's Marino. Centers as Fleming comes down the middle. Now a little backhand pass to Marino. Marino looked to center in front as Denis Pepin was parked right in front of the net as he sneaked in from his defensive point from the blue line. Now turning with the puck is Fleming. Fleming just loses his stick, then tries to kick a centering pass. And coming away is Shalunov ahead to Kyle Rogers. He is just stepped into very neatly by Lacasse, who just rides him off the play. Denis Pepin controls, has it poked away by Shalunov. Shalunov looks to center. Diving defensive play, outstanding by Lacasse, who jumps into the breakout. Now he has the puck. Great pass by Clarke. Now it goes. Fleming puts the shot, and again it's speared by that quick catching glove of Toivonen.
We've seen it time and time again this evening. Toivonen with that leather is very much up to the test.
Well, I think I was looking at the schedule, Tommy. When you're here April 4th for the final My TV game, and the Komets are right back here against Toledo, I think the Mud Hens open up across the street. If they need a first baseman with a big mitt, if Toivonen wants to hang around, as he has an outstanding catching glove. Now C.J. Chartrain put it into the corner. There's a little joust there with Nicastro, and tell you what, this line of Miller, Brewston, and Walleye doing a great job in the forecheck. Now Walleye tries to weave through traffic, still has the puck, looks to center, goes through a maze of players, and it's dug into the corner. Hartman came racing in from his defensive position. Now he takes the pass at the point, gets it across. Brunito tries to feed it right in front. There's the shot. Spinning around that time was Brewston. It's just going off a maze of players. Now back to Hartman. He tries to snap it again off the blocker of Toivonen. We are down to the final 12 seconds. Komets trying to continue to put the pressure on. Willett racing behind the net. He was hooked on the play. There was no call there, as getting away with one was Riley Grantham, and that will do it for period number 2. And the Komets get the lone goal. That coming at the 1:58 mark. The power play goal by Marino, and they have the 2-1 advantage after 2 periods of play over Toledo. We will take a break. We'll come back and recap period number 2 and set the stage for the 3rd period. Komets lead 2-1. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
Sports Medicine.
Back at the Huntington Center, we are set for period number 3. Off the face-off, Fleming jousts with Gilbert, and the puck briefly controlled by the Toledo Walleye. Komets lead 2-1 as we are just underway here in what could be the deciding 20 minutes. Now Fleming along the boards comes across to Marino, who's had an outstanding game. Marino down deep, centers right in the slot, and that time Fleming couldn't get a lot of wood on it. But poaching in is Denis Pepin, gets it behind the net. Marino lets it slide by. Clarke feeds back to the point. Lacasse cross-ice Denis Pepin. Good little stick handling by Simone Denis Pepin as he glides past Rogers. K's immediate pressure here in period 3. Marino spins, loses an edge, tumbles to the ice. Maybe had a stick there in the blade by Rogers, and now here come the Walleye. Pass flipped ahead. That is over the head of Rogers. Goes into the Komet zone. They'll wave the icing off. Lacasse will leave for Simone Denis Pepin. Komets now look for the breakout. Saucered ahead to Fleming. He's stepped into by Grantham and then spun around to the ice. Bad angle shot that time. Marino right on and right off the blocker of Toivonen, who has had a very active game for the Walleye. Toledo looking to break out with numbers. Ahead it goes to Grantham, who has the lone goal. Perlini, a shot right on into the chest that time of Makarov, and Martini makes sure he clears things, and Martini continues to have a conversation with Grantham. They got together at the end of period 2, and roughing penalties were assessed, so I doubt if those two are on each other's Christmas card list.
That was a good save there by Makarov, not to give up any kind of rebound. Something that he's struggled with throughout the year is that rebound control. He had traffic in front of him there, was able to squeeze the shot and make sure that there were no second opportunities.
You know, they're trying to get everybody situated for the face-off. Now the referee, Andrew Wilk, was checking something out near the penalty box, so Nutkevitch drops to his knees as he tries to win the draw, as he was battling that time with Perlini. Here is Embach, who's had an outstanding game, breaking in with the puck. Leaves it that time for Szydlowski, dumps it behind the net, a little too strong for Embach. It cycles around to the point. Here's Martini taking a look. Nathan Martini comes across. Jace Coyle just tries to snap one on, but that's wide. Racing over in the play is Martini. Heavy hit that time by Grantham as that rattles the glass. Nutkevitch tries to leave behind the net. And here comes Brett Perlini trying to break it out. Komets have had a great forecheck in this one. And again, there is Embach all over the place. Now racing in on the play was Nutkevitch. This has been a good line, Szydlowski, Nutkevitch, and Embach. They try to chop the puck in front, and Grantham, who has the lone goal of the night for the Walleye, there's a shot from the point that finds its way to the goal, sticked aside that time by Makarov, and again, the quick pace of the play continues. That time, Niedermal tries to fire the shot on. It kind of glanced off the stick of Embach, and the Walleye cannot keep it in the zone, so there will be an offside call, and the linesmen quickly go to center ice, wondering if there'd be any extracurriculars between a Komet and a Toledo player as they were going back to their respective benches.
Definitely want to remind everybody, Parkview Sports Medicine offers a continuum of care approach for athletes, providing training, treatment, and education for sports enthusiasts of all levels. The program serves athletes of all ages, providing opportunities to those just beginning their athletic careers, to those who just enjoy staying active and are looking to maintain a certain aspect of their competitive edge. Parkview Sports Medicine, great title sponsor of Komet action here on My TV Fort Wayne.
17:45 left in period 3. It's 2-1 Komets. They'll do the face-off once again between Abercrombie and Kenton Miller. Miller has a unique style for face-offs. He's a left-handed shot. Sometimes he flips the stick over into his right hand, knowing willfully he wants to draw it back, and now Miller is chased out of the face-off circle. So Willett will step in, and the puck is dropped. Drawn back neatly by Abercrombie, but sliding in to get the puck is Willett. Toledo will just dump it the length of the rink. Racing is Brunito, and it will be an icing. This is a big, strong line that Gary Graham has put together with the recent acquisition, Mitch Brewston, the return of Christian Willett and Kenton Miller. You know, you don't talk about Kenton Miller that much, but he seems to be arguably the Komets' most reliable face-off man, and another guy who's very strong in his pins.
Well, you mentioned in the second period, Ken, about this line being one that, you know, maybe we haven't had in the past that can kind of wear on you. It should be interesting to see how much ice time they get in this third period to try to do just that.
Now that's gathered in by Messier as he penetrates the Komet zone, trying to find Abercrombie, but too strong. That's just wheeled right out of there and dumped back into the Komet zone. Now Miller bumping with Niedermal, so it looks like the physical play is picking up here in period 3. Komets know they need these 2 points, and quite honestly, all Toledo has left to play for is pride, but hockey players are prideful guys. Now that time, Makarov blows a tire behind the net, but he manages to escape without any damage. Abercrombie just whirls and fires it in. That was precariously close to a too many men on the ice against the Komets. Fortunately, it didn't hit a skate, or a Komet player did not play the puck. Clarke niffily with the skates, collects the puck, spins around the net, glides out, feeds back to the point. Lacasse will just chip it in with the backhand. Marino knocks his player Chartrain to the ice, and that's a scramble right in front. Clarke tries to feather it home, but no, as Toivonen was able to gather in what was really a bouncing puck right there in his own crease.
Fantastic series of plays by Aaron Clarke. First to gain the zone, flying through neutral ice, plays it off of a skate right in stride, and then brings it down deep. And then that time, off of that pass that was just kind of floating out there in the slot area, is able to chop it right out of the air and then get a couple of swipes at it on the rebound in front of Toivonen. So great shift there and just sequence of plays by Aaron Clarke.
Komets now have 39 shots in the game, 27 for the Walleye, and it has been a battle in the face-off circle all game between Gilbert and Fleming. 2 good face-off men. Komets again try to center. That time Denis Pepin has it go off his blades, but he does a good job of keeping the puck in front of him. And now Clarke on his knees, spins right back up, comes across to Denis Pepin. He controls the puck, tries to work his way into the high slot. Marino is ready to tee it up, has the puck, a shot off a defenseman. That time it looked like it went off the skate. That time a Chartrain. Komets keep it in. Spinning is Fleming. Fleming gets past Rogers. They come across. There's Marino. Good job to settle the puck right up in front. Fleming, little backhand attempt. No, it just slides wide. Marino tries to bank it in off the sprawled Toivonen. Now Lacasse comes cross ice. Pepin will fire the shot right on. That time interfered with was Marino. No call, and it was sticked aside that time by Toivonen. Again, the bodies, they are a bump, and Lacasse will fire it. Blocked aside that time by Toivonen. Komets putting on immense pressure. Here is Denis Pepin. Comes across side of the net. Marino tries to spin it home. There will be a penalty coming up as Marino takes a high hit that time by the defenseman C.J. Chartrain, and I believe it'll be Chartrain going off for the penalty. So the Komets will go on a rock-bottom power play, Tommy.
And rock bottom is the answer for consumers who consider the environmental and economic benefits of working with a local remanufactured ink cartridge retailer. To learn more, just go to rockbottomink.com or give them a call, 260-748-0636.
It'll be Chartrain going off 2 minutes for slashing at the 4:44 mark. Now, the last time the K's went on the power play, they marked. This would be a huge opportunity, but the Komets have just been pouring shots on the goaltender, Hannu Toivonen. Now, the puck is basically under the body that time of Nutkevitch as he was just leveled by Perlini, but the K's come away with the puck. Unfortunately, Embach can't keep it in, so the Komets will have to reset. They do enter the zone, but that'll just be shot toward center ice where it's gathered in by Christian Ouellette. Recycling is Nutkevitch, and he will lead for Jace Coyle. Coyle crosses center ice and fires it into the zone. That's where Embach will get it on the high wall. Right up to the top, Coyle takes a look, comes across to Ouellette. Ouellette now playing the opposite point, leaves for Coyle. Coyle looking to tee it up. Komets with a lot of patience here. Now Christian Ouellette comes across ice, comes back to Coyle. Coyle just snaps it on, and again right into the glove of Toivonen. Nutkevitch was trying to slide across and set up a screen, but it looked like that time the visual path was a little too clear for Toivonen. So both teams will change personnel. 14:28 to go in period 3. 1:13 to go in the Komet power play. Now Fleming is on the ice in between Szydlowski and Nutkevitch. That is rung around the boards. Denis Pepin comes across. A little too strong for Szydlowski, and that's just chipped out that time by Niedermal. So Denis Pepin with Messier right on his heels has to break out for the Komets as he starts the rush, comes to center, chipped ahead by Marino. Racing in is Fleming, leaves for Marino. Marino, though, has to go off his skate blade. Now Szydlowski comes up top to Simone Denis Pepin. He's got the big shot. Szydlowski right in the high slot. Comes across, takes the return pass. Now feeds Marino, side of the net. His shot blocked aside. Right up in front, Szydlowski comes to Denis Pepin. Denis Pepin, oh, the shot was just chipped away that time by Fleming. Komets putting the pressure on, and Toledo looking to clear, and that time they do just that as Lacasse sends it deep into the Komet zone. Makarov playing a little cat and mouse with Abercrombie. Denis Pepin comes ahead to Marino. Now 12 left on the Komet power play. One more rush for the K's. Fleming leaves for Szydlowski. Szydlowski to Martini with the one-timer. Oh, it chipped and hit the crossbar. It was tipped, glanced over the shoulder that time of Toivonen, hit the crossbar and came straight down. Now Chartrain comes out of the box and the power play is over. It'll be a race between Marino with Martini stepping in as Rogers was putting the pressure on. Gilbert intercepts, leaves back for Gleason. That caroms off of Marino. Komets had a glorious opportunity on the power play. Rogers collides with Marino. Komets try to clear the zone, and they do. Good strong play as Coyle feeds it ahead to Kenton Miller. Miller doing battle with Peroff. We are down to 12:44 to go in regulation. Komets clinging to the 2-1 lead. 45-27, the shots favor Fort Wayne. Walleye breaking out 2-on-2 as Rogers puts it right on. That's blocked aside by Makarov. Bad angle shot is wide. And the Komets again looking for the breakout. Brewston will just spin, and he will reset for the K's. A long pass that is too strong for Miller. That'll be icing on the Komets as Martini looking for the home run pass. So the icing will bring the puck back into the zone. And it'll be to the left of the Komet goaltender, Andre Makarov. We've been talking a lot about the Toledo goaltender, Hannu Toivonen, because he has seen an awful lot of rubber. 45 shots for the Komets, 28 for the Walleye, but Makarov has made some great saves. Miller now just tries to serve it ahead. Picked up by Brewston. Brewston tries to tuck it in short side. That was close, and Miller was looking for a rebound. And now there is some late action there as a late punch to the chops delivered to Miller, and Miller is taking exception to that. That was a bit of a cheap shot. You have the linesman stepping between the players, and all of a sudden a glove came in and caught Miller right on the chin. He's not happy about that at all. Looks like he's having a conversation with Niedermal. And I believe we have a timeout here. With 12:06 to go in period number 3, the Komets on top of Toledo 2-1. You're watching
Parkview Sports Medicine.
Back to the action at the Huntington Center in Toledo, Ohio. The Komets on top of the Walleye, 2-1 as we have 11:48 to go in period 3. Now Mike Embach collects the puck, comes across to Jace Coyle, fine rushing defenseman. He snaps it right on, and again there is that quick glove of Hannu Toivonen. 46-28, now the shot advantage for the Komets. There is a very, I would say, solid likelihood that the Komets will set a season high without question for shots on goal.
Well, and you consider the way the first 10 minutes of this game went. They were down 12-5 at one point in the shot category. So quick math on that would be 41-16 since the opening 10 minutes.
Well, they've outshot them so far, 9-3 here in period 3. The Komets have just really ramped up the pressure. And now here's Brandon Marino, who has been one of the stars of the game. He's bumped heavily off the play by Chartrain. Now Chartrain has the puck. And a great interception that time by Fleming, who feeds to Clarke. Clarke dancing near the top of the circle, looked to go across to Fleming, but intercepted that time by Szydlowski. Now Szydlowski tries to work his way past Lacasse. There's a shot that goes right off the arm of Makarov, deflected high off the glass. They play on into the corner. Szydlowski looks to center, and there's a score. Game tied at 2 as Szydlowski, a nifty backhand pass from behind the net. And it was popped home, and we are tied 2-2. I believe that was Jesse Messier who got the equalizer.
That was a good play by the Walleye. They got it down in deep. You're right, Messier kind of driving to the net right in the middle, right up the gut. Gets a nice feed from behind the goal line. And then just quickly bats it home.
Well, Messier his 6th. Szydlowski will get at least one assist. That coming at the 9:06 mark, and it's a brand new hockey game tied at 2.
Now let's see how the Komets react to this. I mean, this is adversity. They have to get points here, as we've talked about throughout the broadcast. One is not going to get the job done.
Now the Komets are going to go right back on the power play. So it was Messier his 2nd goal of the season, 2nd with the Walleye. Szydlowski the assist at 9:06, but the Komets will go right back on the power play as Toledo will be sent off for holding. And that will be Albrecht. Tyler Albrecht will go off for holding.
Well, that brings up another Rock Bottom Inc. power play. Rock Bottom, the answer for consumers who consider the environmental and economic benefits of working with a local remanufactured ink cartridge retailer. Learn more at rockbottominc.com or give them a call 260-748-0636.
But how quickly can the Komets answer? Tyler Albrecht goes off 2 minutes for holding at 9:32. Marino comes across to Denis Pepin. We are tied at 2, even though the Komets have dominated play, especially in the shots department. Marino gliding in, tries to fire to the side. Szydlowski up front, and that time Fleming shot caroms off of a Walleye player. Szydlowski hustles back to Denis Pepin. Here is Marino skating in, right up in front. That just is fired wide of the net, and the rebound can't be popped home by Clarke. Comes back to the point to Denis Pepin. Oh, a glorious opportunity that just missed for the Komets. Now cross-ice Szydlowski. He settles the puck down near the top of the circle. Comes back up high. Simone Denis Pepin fakes the shot. Marino comes across to Clarke. Now Simone Denis Pepin to Marino. Marino looking to tee it up. He glides again near the high point of the circle. And now it was just batted down and flipped the length of the rink that time by Brett Perlini. Quick pass flipped out by Makarov to Fleming. He's onside. Stepped into that time heavily by Richard Niedermall. Now he's applying the cross check to the back of Fleming. And it's cleared the length of the rink. Chase Coyle will reset for the Komets. 42 seconds left in the power play. 9:08 left in regulation. Now Coyle races in, and the puck a little too strong, and it'll be saucered the length of the rink. That time by Niedermall, and it was settled down by the stick of Rogers, who was breaking behind the defense. I thought that might have been played with a high stick, but they waved it off. Well, one last rush for the Komets as they have 20 seconds left on the power play. Here is Embach. That caroms off a skate, but collected by Willett. Comes across to Jace Coyle. That time a cross-ice pass attempted by Embach. Intercepted by Messier. Messier with speed. Deep in the corner. He's just going to try to take time off the clock. And racing out is Albrecht. So the Komets come up short on this power play. And we are down to 8 minutes and 18 seconds left in regulation in a 2-2 game. Now Willett dances in. Into the corner where it's chased down by Nicastro. And here come the Walleye looking on the breakout. Chartrain feeds ahead for Abercrombie. That time May is busting to the net. Messier takes the big hit that time by Embach. But it comes back to the point, and there is a shot. Right up in front, it was knocked down Abercrombie. That was a huge save by Makarov. It's centered, but the Komets intercept. Dangerous moment there, and a huge save by Andrei Makarov. Now the Komets breaking in. As that time Brewston looks to feed, but he can't now. He will race to the bench for a line change. Abercrombie spins in his own zone. Leaves for his defenseman, Joe Gleason. 7.5 to go in regulation. We are even at 2. Messier, who got the tying goal, tries to feed it ahead, intercepted by Denis Pepin. Now Marino spins at center ice. Marino starts the break-in. Weaves past the defender. Feeds to Denis Pepin, who is breaking in from the blue line. Bodies flying everywhere, right near the front of the net. And here come the Walleye looking to break out. Perlini puts on the brakes. Now feeds into the corner. Spinning out is Burkemper. Komets looking to clear the zone, but Clarke has to collect the puck. Now here is Marino. Marino taking a look. Komets getting a line change for some personnel. That's going to be too strong, intended for Nutkevitch busting in, and it will be icing called against the Komets. 6:49, Tommy, in regulation, a 2-2 game. Again, the shots favor the Komets, 48-32.
Well, and you just have to hope that the K's can get something going down on the offensive end. Unfortunately, in the last 7 or so minutes, it's been the Walleye who've had more opportunities than the K's, and Andrei Makarov just moments ago really saved the game with what was the save of the game. Sprawling out, they got him moving from left to right, and he was able to make the save. And you hope that that would be the last opportunity that the Walleye get out of this thing, and now the K's can counter. They've controlled the play for most of the evening.
Now to Castro. Off the wall where it's collected by Gilbert. He comes ahead to Shalunov. Shalunov does a little stick handling. Now the fans were starting to get excited as that shot that time by Chartrain breaking in from the blue line went off the side of the net. So Makarov again doing a good job of guarding his post. Cross ice pass to Castro. There's a shot. Comes high off the body that time, and Makarov knocks it down. Now the Komets breaking out here is Szydlowski. Now Szydlowski comes ahead with speed. Leaves for Embach. Embach dumps it back into the corner where Szydlowski centers it. A shot that time is whistled wide as, again, the Komets trying to put on some more pressure, but Embach had that one go just a little bit off his stick and wide of the net. 5:56 to go in regulation. We are tied at 2. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
Presented by Parkview Sports Medicine.
Now the Komets have outshot Toledo 11-8 here in period 3 for the game, 48-33, but the Walleye, the lone goal so far of third period action. Messier, and that has tied the game 2-2, so we are down to the final 5 minutes and 38 of regulation. Brunito spins behind the net, feeds ahead. Hartman, as he was trying to find Willette, like that went off a skate and wound up in the Komet bench. Well, again, we talk about how Komets will head back home after this one and not much time to rest. They'll play a stretch of 4 games in 5 nights. Wednesday, Orlando comes to the Coliseum for a 7 p.m. face-off. Friday, the K's host Gwinnett, 8 p.m. puck drop. Saturday, Kalamazoo comes to town for a 7:30 face-off. And then a week from today, next Sunday, the Komets go to Kalamazoo for a 3 p.m. face-off. Big games for the Komets as, again, we'll have 12 games left after today, 8 of them on home ice. Every point is precious as they bid for a playoff spot. William Lacasse rubbed off the play that time by Gilbert. Komets are digging in their own corner as Clarke dumps it to Fleming, who goes to Denis Pepin. Now ahead it comes to Fleming. Fleming trying to dance past his defender, Needhamall. Now Marino, is looking to find Clarke, but Kyle Rogers stepped into that passing lane, and the Komets have to reset as we wind down to 4:44 in regulation. That pass is off the hoof of Fleming, and here come the Walleye back the other way. Perlini on the wing. Dishes the pass, and there's a tough angle shot as it's gloved Riley Grantham, who has one of the Walleye goals, went high, but Makarov was there to spear it with the big catching mitt. Face-off will be to the right of the Komet youngster, 20-year-old Andre Makarov. Every face-off is big now. Perlini steps in against Szydlowski, and Szydlowski draws it back neatly where Coyle flips it high, and the race is on between Embach and Niedermal. And that time Niedermal just feeds the backhand pass to center ice. Komets collect there, and now here comes Coyle trying to burst in. Crosses center ice, dumps it in deeply. That time Toivonen was trying to sell an icing, but the linesman having none of that. Embach steps into Niedermal. Now Burkemper doing battle with Szydlowski. You're going to have to start winning those 50-50 puck battles now. Who will prevail here in the final 4 minutes of regulation? Tied at 2. Niedermal delivering several hits that time to Embach, and now here come the Walleye trying to break out. Martini cannot clear the zone. Here comes Perlini with a shot right in front. First save by Makarov, a second save, and then the puck skitters behind the goal. Again, Andre Makarov with some huge saves. Now breaking out. Szydlowski along with Embach. And Szydlowski still has it. There's Miller in the slide. He can't quite collect it. Now he puts a shot right on. And making the save is Toivonen. End-to-end action, Tommy.
Yeah, too many breakdowns on the defensive side for the Komets right now. They are giving up way too many rushes right up the middle of the zone. And you get guys being able to drive the net in the middle, and nothing but bad things are going to happen from that point on.
Miller on the draw with Abercrombie. 3:29 left in regulation. Is banged off the boards. Messier looks to clear past Bunetro, and now racing in is May. He's rubbed off the play that time by Hartman. The puck winds up caroming off the glass and into the stands. Komets were taking a deep breath there, wondering if there was a chance for a possible delay, but it's a good thing there was a carom off of that clearing attempt by Andre Makarov. Komets changing up the defense. Denis Pepin and Lacasse on the ice. Abercrombie, Kenton Miller on the draw, and it's won by Abercrombie. Nicastro has his shot go off the skates of Brewston. Now Miller trying to just bump Abercrombie off the play. Toledo is playing with a little more desperation. Now here the Komets look to break it out. That time as Lacasse's pass was a little too strong, it caromed off of a Walleye player, so there was no icing. Under 3 minutes to go in regulation. Puck shot in deep, controlled behind the net by Makarov. He leaves for Lacasse. Lacasse to Denis Pepin. Right on the stick of Miller. Miller flips it off of Jesse Messier, and it's time the puck as they try to dump it in. Shalunov has it. Shalunov will spin in the Komet zone. Now he leaves it, and Christian Willette puts his big body in there. They scrum along the boards, comes back to the point. A high drive that time. Goes off the glove of Makarov, as that was a very high blast by Elbrecht. Now the Komets quickly changing personnel. We are down to 2:18 left in regulation. Fleming, Marino, Clarke on for the K's. And now Elbrecht is just content to let some time seep off the clock. As Gleason, you can tell what the Walleye are doing right now. It almost looks like they're playing a little more passively. Cross-ice pass behind Gilbert. He just wraps it into the zone. Again, Makarov, a good job to contain the puck behind the goal. He fires a pass ahead, and the K's have a chance to break out with numbers. Here comes Clarke. Clarke comes across, stepping into the play to Martini. A shot that time was blocked by a sliding Niedermal. Racing in to keep the puck in is Coyle. We are down to 100 seconds to go. And gloved again by Toivonen. Now 1:37 left in regulation. And that was the Komets' 50th shot of the hockey game.
Now they've been firing him on Toivonen. He has been solid throughout the evening, though. So many good saves. And really, when you're talking about quality opportunities, the K's haven't had that many here in the third period.
Szydlowski against Perlini, drawn back deep into the Toledo zone. Niedermal fires ahead. Good job by Denis Pepin. It gets caught in his equipment. Just now gets into center ice. And here come the Walleye. And again, we are now down to 122. Komets doing a good job to clog up the neutral zone. Here is Nutkevitch. Nutkevitch comes across ice. There's a shot. It's the goal post. Can they jam it in? Yes! Yes! It was a goal right at the side of the net with 1:13 to play. We'll see who got it. It looked like it was Embach, as that shot blistered right off the pipe, came just at the side of the net, and Mike Embach, Tommy, jammed it home with 1:13 to play.
That was a very pretty feed to the middle of the ice by Nutkevitch, and then a laser of a shot by Szydlowski that went off the post, and Embach was camped out in front to be able to jam it home, and what a huge, huge goal for the Komets. Assist obviously going to Szydlowski.
On the assist number 22nd, Szydlowski, number 18, signed Nutkevitch.
And also signed
Yes.
Nutkevitch. I was waiting to see if they were also going to give one to Nutkevitch, a proud representative of West Bend Mutual Insurance Company and a proud Komets sponsor. Let Matt Gregory and Gregory Associates assist you with your insurance needs, whether it be home, auto, life, business insurance. It's 1933, a family business taking care of families and business. And, man, it doesn't get any bigger than that goal right there.
Mike Embach, goal number 21. And as Tommy pointed out, the assists to Szydlowski and to Nutkevitch. And that was some great passing. And, boy, that shot rattled right off the side of the post. It was fortunate for the Komets that it didn't really carry them out very far away from the net. Embach was able to pounce on it and jam it home. 21st goal coming at 18:47, and the Komets are a minute and 13 seconds away from picking up 2 points. There is a timeout that has been called, so the teams can regroup, get the personnel they want on the ice for this final minute and 13 seconds. Fleming, Clarke, Marino against Rogers, Gilbert, and Shalanov. And now, as we wind down to just over a minute to play, and Makarov snaps it high off the glass, and it's collected very neatly by Clarke. Under a minute to go. Clarke fires it into the open net from just beyond center ice as they had pulled Toivonen. What a game it's been for Aaron Clarke, and that should seal the deal. The goal coming at 19:04. Clarke with the goal. And I have a feeling Makarov should collect an assist on this.
Nice. A rare goalie assist.
So that will send what has been a good crowd here at the Huntington Center streaming for the exits. Clarke the goal.
Very good environment here. It's my first trip to the Huntington Center. It's a nice downtown arena.
Well, Clarke gets the goal, and Makarov does get the assist.
Nice.
19th of the season for Clarke. We are down to the final 36, and the Komets with the 4-2 lead. It's a matter of running out the clock. Now inside 30. Toivonen, who's had an outstanding game, clears it ahead, and racing in is Shalunov. He's hounded by Hartman. They go into the corner. Hartman steps into him. Now down to the final 14 seconds. They'll just try to control the puck in the corner. Hartman will wheel it around, and all the Komets have to do is just chip it across. Here comes Miller. Down to 5 seconds for Miller. Takes some time to shoot that into the skates of Gleason, and that will do it. The horn sounds, and the Komets are victorious. A couple of big late goals for the K's, and they defeat Toledo by the final score of 4-2 to pick up 2 huge points. We'll take a break and wrap things up from the Huntington Center. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
You're watching My Komets on My TV.
Presented by Parkview Sports Medicine.